Leaders, real life leaders.
Hey guys, welcome to today's episode. And we do have an amazing guest. His name is Rod Khleif. And we are going to be talking about cash flow. We're going to be talking about his story, and it's going to be exciting. So Rod, welcome.
Oh, thanks for having me, Chantel. Let's have some fun today.
Yes. So you're talking about my favorite topic, which is cash flow. It's so important. And if you don't have it, you are in big trouble. So first, I really want to hear your story of kind of what got you into this and just your platform, how you got into it.
Sure. So I'm going to go way back. I'll be brief, but I'll go way back. So I'm an immigrant. I was born in the Netherlands, think wooden shoes and windmills, and immigrated when I was 6 years old with my brother Albert, my mother Svancha. We ended up in Denver, really struggled initially. In fact, I wore clothes from the Goodwill and the Salvation Army all the way through junior high school. We ate expired food. There was an expired food store we shopped at. Drank powdered milk with our cereal in the morning because it was cheaper than real milk. And I'm sure you've got listeners that had it harder than we did, but I didn't like it. And luckily, my mom had an incredible work ethic. So she actually babysat kids so we'd have enough money to eat. And she was a bit of an entrepreneur. With her babysitting money, she actually invested in the stock market, in IPOs, and she also invested in real estate. Now, her first real estate acquisition was the house directly across the street from us. She purchased when I was 14 for about $30,000. Then when I was 17, she told me she'd made $20,000 in her sleep. Like that's how much it had gone up in value. And I'm like, what? You made 20 grand and you didn't do anything? Screw college. I'm getting into real estate. So I got into real estate. My first year in real estate, I was still living at home, made about 8 grand. My second year, I made about 10 grand. But my third year, I made over $100,000. And so what happened between year 2 and year 3 that caused me to 10x my income? Well, what happened was I worked for a guy, I was dating his daughter, that taught me about the importance of mindset and psychology and how really 80% or 90% even of your success in anything is your mindset and psychology. Only 10 to 20% is the real estate stuff we talk about on our podcasts. And I love the fact you want to talk about cash flow because the name of my podcast is Lifetime Cash Flow through Real Estate Investing. And, I'm really proud of something. We just broke 14 million downloads, which just blows my mind. But anyway, so fast forward to today, I've owned over 2,000 houses that I've rented long-term. I own thousands of apartment units. In 2006, my net worth went up $17 million while I slept. And you might say, wow. And I said, wow. And I got a head so big, I could barely fit it through a door. I thought I was a real estate god. And when that happens, God of the universe will give you a nice little smack. Well, that was 2008. I lost $50 million in 2008. And so, what I'm known for talking about at my boot camps and live events and on my podcast is really the mindset and psychology it took to have that much money to lose in the first place. And maybe as importantly, maybe more importantly, the mindset it took to recover from losing that. And so, happy to drill down on that a little bit if you like. Or we can go right into cash flow, whatever you like.
Yeah, no, let's first start with a little bit more on mindset, because I think a lot of people are actually right now, I think worse than ever because they're really concerned about the economy and they're kind of in buckle down mode and like save, conserve, and just living in fear mode. So let's kind of talk about what they need to do right now. And I think there's a balance because you also need to be wise. Right. And it's just having that balance of being wise, but also stepping out.
Right. Well, it's a really timely topic right now, Chantel, because, we're heading for some pain in the real estate space. I'm just telling you, anybody tells you otherwise is naive. This smells like 2008 and 9 to me all over again. And, a lot smarter people than me have said it's going to be a big crash and fear will be pervasive. I think the fear is really going to show up after the midterms. I think that media has been holding back. There's a lot of political pressure on the media to not make it seem as bad as it is. But I think after the midterms, all bets are off. So, let me answer it by giving you an example. So back when I lost everything. How did I get back? I mean, people killed themselves for losing that much proportionately back in 2008, 9, and back in the Great Depression. And so, how did I recover? Well, what I did was I reassociated with what I wanted and why I wanted it. If you come to one of my boot camps, literally the first hour and a half is goal setting on steroids. Because how the heck do you get anything if you don't know what it is? You need to know exactly what it is you want and why you want it. So, it starts with goal setting because you have to create what Napoleon Hill in his book, Think and Grow Rich, calls a burning desire. You really have to want it. And because that's how you push through fear. That's how you get through what's coming, by focusing on what you want, not what you don't want. And so you push through fear that way. You push through limiting beliefs that way. An example of a limiting belief, when I immigrated, my mom thought it'd be a great idea to send me to school. Here, I've got them right here, actually. To send me to school in these wooden shoes and these leather shorts that the Germans wear for Oktoberfest, okay? So I found out what bullies were for the first time. I got my butt kicked on a fairly consistent basis. And then the bullies would chase me home from school, and my mom would chase them off with a fly swatter. So the next day I got a butt kicking. And, I actually, that and a playground incident where I got embarrassed in front of a bunch of kids by a girl that I thought was hot, caused me to really feel like I wasn't good enough. And I used to ask myself, how can I show them I'm good enough? And a lot of people have these limiting beliefs, these belief systems like, I'm not good enough. I'm not smart enough. I'm not old enough. I'm not analytical enough, strong enough, have enough time, have enough money. And there's a reason the acronym for belief systems is BS, because 99.9% of them are BS. But you've got to be able to push through them. And the burning desire helps you do that. Or maybe you're comfortable. Comfort zone's a nice, warm place, and nothing freaking grows there, right? So that's what the burning desire helps you with. And that's how you push through all that. And so, I don't know when this will air. I've got a virtual boot camp coming up October 15th and 16th. If you're interested in multifamily, I'll let your peeps come for $97. And I don't sell anything there, by the way. So if you're interested in that, I can tell people how to get that later. But that's what we do the first hour and a half. Now, if you can't make it to my boot camp, or this airs after that, on rodslinks.com, I do a goal setting workshop every New Year's Day. I did it New Year's Day this year, and it's on there with music and a guide you can download. So if you go to rodslinks.com, go to the bottom, I'll guide you through this goal setting process. See, here's the sad reality, Chantel. People spend more time planning a freaking birthday party than they do designing their lives. And this is designing your life. And this is super important to prepare for the economic turmoil that's coming. Get very clear on what you want and why you want it. So that's what you're focused on instead of the crap that's on the news. Don't get me started on that. You right now more than ever, you need to stand guard at the door to your mind. And, if you're listening to this or watching this with Chantel, I know you're a leader. You wouldn't be here if you weren't a leader. And right now the world needs leaders more than ever. And so it's really important that you pay attention to what you focus on. So that's where it starts. But then there's a couple more steps I'll briefly highlight. You've got to make a decision. And I will tell you, sometimes that's very hard. When I say decision, I mean it is freaking done. It's not dipping a toe in the water. It's not 1 foot in, 1 foot out. It is done. If you're going to attack the island in battle, you're going to burn your ships because you're taking their ships home. I mean, it's done. And then you're 100% committed. And once you're committed, you're like a train on a track. But if you're not committed, you'll get knocked off track. Right. And so very, very important that you have that you make that decision, you have that total commitment. And then you've got to take that first step. And sometimes that can be the biggest step of your life because it's scary, like if you want to get into multifamily, which is what I do, or you want to get into single family. Now, let me say this to you, because of what's coming. If the biggest transfer of wealth in history could be upon us right now, the greatest transfer of wealth in history. I mean, people like Elon Musk has said it's going to be a big crash. Warren Buffett has said it, love him or hate him. Trump has said it. They've all said it's going to be big, much bigger than people think. And I think so as well. I just saw an article. I don't know if you saw this about 3 weeks ago. There are 22 million families right now behind on their utility bills. I mean, that's just staggering. So, with inflation and gas and everything, things are going to get ugly. But Don't be fearful, because there will be incredible opportunity. And the reason I said all that was not to scare you. It was to tell you to get ready. So pick a vehicle. If it's going to be multifamily, for God's sakes, come to one of my boot camps. If it's going to be single family, learn that from someone else. If it's going to be buying businesses, learn that. If it's going to be trading, learn that. But get up to speed now, because once we're in the thick of it, it's going to be too late. So anyway, then you've got to take that first step. Dr. Martin Luther King said that was Lao Tzu. Lao Tzu, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. Dr. Martin Luther King said, you take that first step in faith and the next step will be revealed. But you got to take that step. And sometimes that first step can be the biggest step of your life. And, I don't know about you, but I get a lot of analytical people that listen to me, Chantel, and, they have to check off every box before they make a move. What I would say, if that's you and you're listening, just realize this. The analogy, it's a good analogy. You can drive all the way across the United States at night with your headlights seen only 50 feet in front of you. You'll make it, but that's all you can see is that 50 feet. Now you may have obstacles, but other people have done it before. Equate that to whatever goal you're going after, because it's the same thing. You may not see the whole path, but you have to take action to get started. Now I can keep going, or if you want to interject, feel free to stop me at any point.
Let's talk about wealth, because my favorite definition of wealth is the number of days that you can survive without physically working and still maintaining your standard of living. And
that's a good one.
I love that. And I feel like people kind of start out, I kind of call it like level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4. And so level 1 is like, they get a safe, secure job with good pay and benefits. And then they go to level 2, where they're looking to kind of be their own boss. In real estate, they become a real estate agent. Maybe they were, started with an admin job that 9 to 5 with a salary. Then level 2, they became an independent contractor and became a real estate agent. They're their own boss. Then they get to level 3, where in real estate, they would, hire a team and, maybe get a team of agents underneath them. And then level 4 is where they are either becoming an investor and creating passive income. And the reason why I created my business was Chantel Realty is because we have a way where agents can earn passive income by recruiting other agents to the company. And so every time they bring on a new agent, they build revenue share with that. So I'm just a big proponent of passive income and creating cash flow. So that's why I'm excited.
That's a great topic. And I'm going to tell you, as an agent or a broker, you are in the perfect position to capitalize on what's coming, because you've already got the framework. And honestly, shame on you if you're not looking at investing, because you're making a big mistake. There are going to be exponential opportunities what's coming. Everything's going on sale. And you may or not believe me on that, Chantel, but I'm convinced that everything's going on sale. Housing is going to go down. Multifamily is going to go down. There's going to be incredible exponential opportunity. If you listen to my podcast, I've interviewed some of the largest multifamily operators on the planet. And a lot of the people that have 5,000 plus units, male or female, started in 2009, 10, 11, and 12. That is what we call a clue, okay? And it's coming. And so, if you're up to speed to capitalize on whatever vehicle you're going to use, and I forgot, it just clicked with me that your primary audience is real estate agents and brokers. Oh my God, you guys. If you don't go back to work on January 1st, you don't have any income, unless, of course, you've got passive income through an organization like Chantel's here. But if you have such an opportunity to ramp that income through investing and, throwing your commission into a deal and not living paycheck to paycheck anymore. So I would just encourage you to maximize the gift that you have, because you're already halfway there.
And now a word from our sponsor. This episode is brought to you by Chantel Realty.
One of the other things we give you is revenue share, where you get 5 levels of money in your downline every time you attract an agent to the company. And guess what? The first 3 levels open up right away. So let's pretend like you're not a great recruiter, but you bring on a couple people who are heavy hitters. Guess what? You don't have to hire 5 or 10 agents to open up those tiers. You automatically get those. So that's what makes us very different.
This is Chantel.
I raise money for deals all the time. I've got a beautiful asset in Nashville right now, but there's been a lot of aggressive deals done the last couple of years. People that haven't been through a downturn that used adjustable rate debt called bridge loans. A lot of that happened the last couple of years. Like this, to give you an example, this Nashville deal we're raising money for right now, we're raising $19 million, and we're about most of the way there already. But we're putting 60% loan to value debt on it, very conservative debt, 60% fixed rate for 10 years, which is very expensive. And it's not expensive. I'm sorry. It's very difficult to get good returns with that low loan to value, but we've still got, upwards of 10% cash on cash, 16 to 19% IRR and 20 to 22% adjustable annual return, which is just extraordinary for that low loan to value with that much money being raised. So there are deals out there. And if you are a passive investor and interested and want to check it out, text the word partner to 72345, because there's still some slots left. Depending on when this goes out, there'll be some slots left. But that is a great vehicle for you to create that passive cash flow. Real estate is rather, and multifamily. I'm biased. I'm convinced it's the best asset class out there. There's shopping centers, retail, there's office, there's industrial, there's self-storage. I'm in multifamily, and here's why I like multifamily. For example, when COVID hit, those other asset classes, shopping centers, office, industrial, they didn't get any money from the government. We got hundreds of thousands of dollars in rent relief money from our tenants. And another great example of the resiliency of multifamily is within 3 years, in fact, less than 3 years of the big crash in 08 and 09, rents exceeded pre-crash levels. That's how fast it bounced back. And so, people need a place to live. And so it's a very solid, safe, secure asset class if it's purchased, if the property's purchased well and not aggressively, like I just said. I think there's been a lot of greed these last couple of years, and I think some of those deals are going to come back. And I'm thinking it's a great opportunity for someone like me to pick up deals at cents on the dollar. But I think there's going to be some pain there because there's, like Warren Buffett's famous quote, be fearful when others are greedy and be greedy when others are fearful. Well, there's been a lot of greed the last couple of years, and I think there's going to be a lot of fear the next couple of years. So, it's again, equate that to opportunity. Now, another thing, I'm sorry, one more quick point. If you've got a lot of business owners, there's going to be incredible opportunity to buy businesses coming up too. Okay. There's going to be people that struggle, maybe people that haven't embraced online sales, for example, brick and mortar businesses that haven't embraced online sales. And there's been a lot of bankruptcies already. So there will be opportunity for you to pick up on those as well. So, keep that in mind. But if you're interested in real estate and it's multifamily, for God's sakes, come spend some time with me. You'll be glad you did. And let me just mention this so people can get it if they want. If you're interested in learning the multifamily space, text Rod to 72345. But DM me on any social channel at that rodslinks.com, because all my social channels there. If you DM me, I'll give you a code. You can come to that event for $97. And I don't sell anything there. So it's literally 2 full days of training, like 18 hours of training with nothing being sold for $97. So it's kind of a no-brainer if you're interested in the business. But regardless, pick something to capitalize on what's coming, because it's coming.
So let's talk about, your big thing is buying multifamily real estate and creating that cash flow from there. And like you said, now we think that we're going to be able to buy some things on sale. So let's talk about kind of just make it real practical. Let's just say someone says, okay, I'm already sold. I'm interested in doing multifamily. Like, talk about it in steps, like step 1, step 2,
Sure. Well, okay. First of all, the manual for my boot camp's about that thick. So I can give you a really broad overview, but you come spend 2 days with me, you will be drinking through a fire hose. I've had thousands of people attend, and the only complaint I've ever gotten is that the breaks are too short, because I do 15-minute breaks every couple hours. And trust me, they're harder on me because I got to go bathroom and eat and everything else. But the point is, there's a lot, there's a lot to it. But the beautiful thing about multifamily is it's a team sport. This is not something you're going to do on your own. I bought 2,000 houses by myself. I cannot do apartments by myself. And there are a lot of different hats a person can wear. So let me start by saying that. So you could be a person on a team that finds the deals. You could be the person that builds relationships with brokers and finds the deals. You could be the person that raises the money. You know, these multifamily deals take money. But the beautiful thing is it doesn't have to be your own money. There's a lot of money looking for a home, and there still will be even in the crash. So you could do that. You could be the person that does the underwriting. If you love analysis, maybe you love spreadsheets, then you're going to love that, because, you know, the beautiful thing about multifamily is it's primarily empirical. It's numbers. You get the numbers right, it's pretty hard to make a mistake. And you know, that plus asking all the right questions. Okay, those two components. Pretty hard to make a mistake. But and then maybe you've got process experience or management experience, so you could do the project management, asset management after you purchase the assets. So there's a lot of different hats you can wear. So you want to play to your strengths. Okay, that's super important. Don't try to build your weaknesses. Play to your strengths, because if you're playing to your strengths and you hire, align, or partner for your weaknesses, success is inevitable. If everybody's doing what they love, you're passionate about it. If you've got that passion, you'll have the ability to influence people. So it's just a home run. But practical steps, you really just have to build your competence first, okay? You know, I've got a lot of videos on YouTube, but again, if you can, I don't know when this will air, if you can air it before October 15th, if you can come to that boot camp, trust me, you'll be glad you did. I'll do another one in about 3 or 4 months, but it's not scheduled yet. But the point is, learn it right now. You know, because I teach everything from finding the deals to analyzing the deals to underwriting them to normalizing expenses so that you can underwrite them and do a pro forma on them, to obtaining the financing, the different types of financing, to raising the money through a joint venture or syndication, to you know, the closing process, the due diligence process, and the inspections and the lease inspections and the unit inspections, building inspections, to the property management, the asset management. So again, there's a lot of pieces to this. So do you recommend somebody starting, let's say, with maybe a 4, you know, like a quadplex where they're doing like a 4 unit and then moving to a 10 unit and kind of understanding it and learning it like on a smaller scale, right? And then going, okay, most people you're going to learn that you're not going to be able to share with everyone. Most people do it that way. Okay. If you listen to my podcast, most people start with some houses, some plexes, and then they go larger. But I will say this, there have been a few people that start with a 60 to a 50, 100 unit, whatever. There are a few people that do that. And I try to ask this question of the big operators that come on the show. And I do it just because I know what they're going to say. I always ask them, if you could tell your 18-year-old self something, knowing what you know now, what might you do differently? And I know what the answer is going to be, and that's why I ask it. And I want my peeps to hear it from them. And that is, they always say, go bigger, faster. That every single time. So, you know, just remember that. But you know, everybody has a courage muscle, right? They have this courage muscle, and they've got to build that courage. And so the question is, you know, should I wait to buy real estate? No, buy real estate and wait, but get started right now. If it's going to start with a house, fine, but get started. If it's going to be a duplex, great. If you can live in one side and rent out the other side, at some point you'll probably live for free. A plex is great, but get started. So let's say someone wanted to start with a 4-plex. Mm-hmm. What would be some tips for that if they wanted to get, you know, if you said, okay, here's a couple of tips on how to get the right. Well, first of all, you know, you obviously are able to find them if you're in the business, but if you're not in the business, connect with a broker that markets those, so you get alerted to them right away. If you're going to live in one unit, you can use the rents from the other units to qualify if they're leased. So I think it's 75% of the rent. That's what last time I checked. This has been a decade ago, but I know you can use the rents from the other units. I'm not sure what percentage to qualify. So you can qualify for a lot more than if you were just buying a house. But you got to move in it if you're going to do it that way. Now, if you're just going to buy it as a rental, then you're going to have to put a lot more down. But if you're going to move in it, you can get very low down financing, 30-year fixed financing. If you're going to buy it as an investment, then you'll probably get Fannie Mae debt, and you're going to pay probably 20% down. You'll still get great interest rate, but you'll have probably a 10-year term, 30-year amortization, 10-year term. But just, you know, what I would tell you as a practical step, go look at them, run the numbers on them. Again, I don't make any money at the $97, but if you come spend 2 days with me, you will have such an incredible framework to go do this. I can't stress that enough, but regardless, just immerse yourself in it, wallow in it, play with it, look at deals, go, walk them, run the numbers, do the potential income, do the potential expenses. Don't be aggressive, be conservative on your numbers. Don't underestimate what the maintenance could cost, or, put some management in there if you're not going to live there and you're not going to manage it. Put some marketing expenses in there, but run the numbers, have fun with it. And you will slowly push through any fear that you have to realize that it's doable. Get around other people that are doing this. Get into a peer group that's doing this, because that's the fastest way to learn, to increase your skill set. But it starts with competence. Okay, once you've built your competence, then you'll have confidence. And once you have that confidence, you'll have the ability to go out there and do this. You'll have the ability to influence people and take massive action with this.
All right. Well, tell listeners where they can find you.
Sure.
And where they can follow you.
Oh, thank you. So my podcast is called Lifetime Cash Flow Through Real Estate Investing. You'll learn a lot there as well. But if you go to rodslinks.com, or you can text links to 72345, and we'll send you that, rodslinks.com, but text links to 72345. And there's a ton of free resources there. I've got free books there. I've got my #1 best-selling book. You can pay the shipping and get that like $6-7. And my goal setting workshop is there. If you do that with your spouse, do that with your kids. It's so powerful to get clear on what you want. But Rod's Links is the best place.
All right. Well, you guys stay tuned. We've got another episode coming up in just a few. Bye-bye for now.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Real Life Leadership. If you'd like to get the show notes or access more resources, log on to reallifeleaders.com/podcast to get the show notes from this episode and any other resources we might have mentioned. And also, we'd love to hear from you. Be sure to review or rate this podcast on Apple Podcasts to help spread the word. And if you have any leadership questions you want answered, email podcast@reallifeleaders.com.